Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Bloody Good Horror. Had a bad week? We all have. So let us lift you up with our review of a movie called The Sadness.
I had a bad day.
I'm Eric.
Come on, get down with the sadness.
I'll be your host for this evening. Joining me tonight, first up from Manhattan, New York City, rocking that undershirt that if you get the live stream, you've come to know and love. Please welcome Mr. John Schnars to the show.
Hey.
John, you remember 90s and the 80s and 90s commercials would have you believe that like getting a yellow ring around your collar was like the scourge of society and like you needed some kind of special detergent situation to take care of it? Whatever happened to those commercials?
Presumably the detergent just got better and the rings went away.
Or do you think
Possibly.
we all just buy cheap clothes now and throw shit away so nobody really cares?
I don't know. I've grown up a pretty large, sweaty man, and I've never noticed that ring around the collar. Maybe I bathe too much.
How dare you?
Like the collar specifically is a weird place. I don't know. Joining me next up, you just heard him from Indiana. Please welcome Casey.
Hello.
And finally tonight from Richmond, Virginia, please welcome Caitlin to the show.
Hello.
No guests this week. We're raw dogging it here at BGH this week.
Jesus.
Mostly I was just
Now
too
that Schnars is
unfiltered.
back,
mostly I
Eric
was
is hitting us with the raw dog.
mostly I was just too tired and broken to coordinate anybody. And all that really requires, John, is an email. So that kind of tells you where I'm at this week.
Yeah.
The Sadness. Who did this to me? Can we get for the record? Can we get
It
that out?
was-
I will take the blame. I think I brought it to everybody's attention first.
Okay.
Hold on. But this was in the Shutter carousel, which, like, by Eric's standards, that's like, like I'm surprised you didn't recommend it, Eric.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm not angry. I just want names. That's all.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
let's
like that scene where Ryan crosses out a name in his book in the office. That's Eric to Casey right now.
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's take a quick break and review The Sadness.
This is it, Senator. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
John Schnars.
Yes, Eric.
You know the funny thing about the title, The Sadness, it doesn't really make any kind of sense with the movie so much. Like, they really should have called it like the foaming, barking, like rape zombies or something like that. Like,
They made an effort.
Yeah,
Sorry, Caitlin. They made an effort to fix that, right, Caitlin?
Yeah, Eric, if you read the email.
yeah, I guess there's one character who's like, society is crumbling and
Hell
it's so
no.
sad.
No, it's for a different reason. I'll explain.
Okay, we'll get to that later.
Let's come back to that.
Yeah.
John, please bring us the word of the day.
Drama. Dramatic pause.
The battery in the iPad was dying, John, so I had it closed, and now I forgot that there was one more. What you got?
Yep. Here we are. Eric, the word is barbarity. B-A-R-B-A-R-I-T-Y. Barbarity. Extreme cruelty or brutality. Can also mean absence of culture and civilization. Comes to us from the same root as barbarian, barbarism. So Middle English as an adjective used in a derogatory way to denote a person with different speech and customs, from the Old French barbarien, from barbare, or from the Latin barbarus. So I assume those all have similar.
Barbarous. That's the
Barbary.
That's the stuff they put combs in at the barbershop, right?
I guess barbar in Greek, barbaros meant foreign. I get, it all just, it's all.
Oh, always sneaking some xenophobia in there.
Hey, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Barbarians, they were like the original.
The Greeks did deal with some
One of the-
barbarians, if I'm remembering my Grecian
It was
history.
the I think it was the Romans, but that's
they were there. They were in the mix.
They might have been. That's fair.
I don't know.
Okay.
Love it. Tell me about The Sadness, John.
The sadness. This is a film. It is a Taiwanese film. It's filmed in Taiwan, but made by this guy, written and directed by the auteur Rob Jabaz, Jabaz, Jabbaz,
Who's British?
He's
you
Canadian.
said? Oh,
He's
Canadian.
not Taiwanese. That's what's interesting. So this movie is like in Mandarin, I believe. It's set entirely in Taiwan. It's set in the city of Taipei. But this guy, yeah, like I could not. I mean, look, I didn't read like a ton of things, but I was like kind of jumping around, and he was like born and raised in Mississauga, Canada. So I don't know. I'm very curious
It's
what
a
the
lot of Canadian.
connection is.
It's a lot of Canadian sounding things you're saying right now.
Yeah, but so long story short, I don't know what the connection is. But everyone, you would have no idea that there was a Canadian person behind this movie. Everyone, all the actors are
Except
speaking
for the
Mandarin.
character names, which are Jim and Kat.
You
I
say
think.
that. You
Yeah.
say that in a way that's like.
Fair.
So if you really hate Canadians, like it's okay. You can watch it.
No, it's interesting to me. I'm very curious. Like I did try to look a little bit around, the production history and couldn't come up with anything. It's his first feature film. So, there's that. But yeah, the basic story here is very straightforward. You have Jim and Kat. They are young lovers. I don't know, in their,
So good looking.
yes.
Just-
Both.
There's
yeah,
a scene early
fit.
on where they're like riding in their motorbike to work, and there's what's supposed to be happening in the scene is like there's an accident and some weird shit's happening, and so in slow motion they ride by and like they're supposed to be kind of gawking at it, but what it really just looks like is like a Pantene commercial or something. Like they're on the bike and they're just so like beautiful, and it's like her like hair's
hair's
going and it's like
flowing.
slow motion. They're just
I
making
think
like
that's intentional.
they're just making model face.
Yeah, so they're both they are. He is semi-employed or potentially unemployed. He's working in sort of film production or something in video production, but not on the day that the action takes place working. She's more of like office job, has to get up and go to work. So they wake up and he drives her to work. This is the scene Eric is referencing. Drops her off. He heads back and sort of before they leave is like the first time he sees he sees someone on the roof of a neighboring building looking real grim, like blood coming down their night outfit. Their pajamas.
Nightgown?
Nightgown. There you go. Nighty outfit. Isn't that what those are called?
Nighty
Maybe it's like
outfit.
a sexy.
Yeah, that was not what she was wearing then.
Hey baby, you want to put on that nighty outfit for me tonight?
Yeah, so he sees that and he's kind of like, what's going on? But then like she disappears and he doesn't think. And so after he drops her off at the train station, she gets on the train. In the scene, Eric, that you were referencing, this accident, it's not just like a normal accident, like something weird is going on there. He then is riding back and like starting to notice some weird stuff, like that accident scene, all the people are gone, but the cars are still there. And then he like stops at this restaurant. While he's at the restaurant, the woman that he had seen on the roof, who was like all grotesque looking, shows up at this restaurant and just starts like zombie attacking people.
Mm-hmm.
And
But,
so this
like,
then,
Beyond, she's using weapons. They're a little sophisticated.
yeah. Well, so I mean, this is the thing. Like, that's the setup. Like, there's the rest of the movie is
Isn't it?
basically one extended
Zombies.
zombie action sequence with Jim. It's both and we'll talk about it. Like it gets a little weird because it's sort of you're intercutting between Jim and Kat's experiences, and it's not 100% clear all the time like whose experience matters more, or like if they're given somewhat equal weight, but that kind of shifts toward the end.
Yeah. But there's no,
and-
to your point, there's no info dump. There's no more story. That's it. It's just they're kind of
No,
trying
there's-
to
There's
survive
one info dump later.
/ get back to each
Yeah.
other.
well, there's like a little bit of stuff that they're like we do see that there's like an emergency network alert on the TV
Right.
and like all the channels are shut down and there is like a little bit of discussion
Yeah, but even
that
that
like
just ends up
crazy
being a
shit's-
gag more than anything.
Yeah, but like to your point, like the society doesn't start to crumble, like the power doesn't go off right away. This is we are in, I think Casey may have referenced this over email, like it's the 28 days later.
Right.
It's the first 20 minutes of that movie, or something like that.
It's
But the whole movie is
this
just
is
the first 20
this is if you mashed up 28 Days Later and The Purge. It's basically a zombie virus that just makes people purge, more or less.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's the key difference is like rather than just turning them into zombies, they're like turned into deranged psycho killer / like sadists.
Psycho killer.
Yeah.
That's a good job.
Casey pulled up and it is referenced on the Wikipedia page. So like it's unclear how official this is, but it's definitely highly related to this Garth Ennis comic called Crossed, which I read a little bit about and has effectively the exact same plot with like some slight tweaks. Again, it's not marketed as like an official sort of adaptation of that, but it's very, very related. And Garth Ennis, if anyone knows, it's like that doesn't surprise me.
And none of us really have ever read the comic or anything, but the plot that's even online is enough to tell you how much of an influence it was on the split.
Yeah. So
I mostly spent most of the first act wondering how much that apartment cost.
Yeah.
The one they were living in?
Yeah. Are apartments in Taiwan affordable? This is all I wonder about.
Doesn't he look at like a rental guide in the restaurant for a brief moment?
He does,
too?
yeah. No, I could make anything out of it. I also was right before the zombie apocalypse went out. I was mostly interested in the breakfast they were making there at the diner.
The egg roll.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, John, but I'm on egg TikTok. I'm an egg enthusiast.
That's cool.
Love it, Eric.
I eat like a good 30 eggs a week or something like that, and at least
30.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And I was interested. Were those little like fried rice squares they were making or something?
Or tofu, maybe?
Thought it might be tofu.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's what I was thinking
But
too.
tofu and eggs, that's 2 proteins, John.
Well, then someone comes in and orders like a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich.
It's true.
Pretty sure it said pork egg roll, but I could.
Oh, well, you're right.
Oh, and that thing he was eating out of the fridge looked delicious. That looked like a pork roll.
Oh,
or
the
something.
bun?
Yeah,
Little
yeah.
bun.
That looked good.
Yeah. Whatever that sauce you squirt in there.
Yeah, dude, get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
into it.
Caitlin, what'd you think of The Sadness?
I really like zombie movies, and I really like gory zombie movies a lot. Zombie movies also scare me more than like any other horror trope, I think. But this was a little rough. I don't know how much we got into in the summary just there about how much sexual violence there is, and not just sexual violence, but like straight up humiliation, because they're not normal zombies. They're like programmed to this alvin virus that's attacking them is making them do things that they don't necessarily want to do, but they can't help it. Like they're compelled to do horrific, heinous acts of violence. And it was hard to watch. We'll get into, I'm sure, like the scene, but I don't know. I
love this, like the scene. Like there's legitimately
several
10 scenes in this movie that are like next level.
Wait, are we talking about the penis mutilation or the? I don't even want to ruin what the other one is because it's like
the blood orgy,
Oh my god,
all the things. But there were some really cool moments of gore, like the grenade scene. Hopefully, we can come back and talk about that a little bit more in depth. Like some leg breaking. Like there was some really cool, and from what I understand, practical effects gore, which was impressive. And I don't know, that's kind of fun. But I think it's really weird that there's kind of a perspective shift where we're watching the dude on his motorbike, and then we just kind of cut to the girlfriend and we get her story for the second half, and she's got this like stalker who is infected with the alvin rage virus, and I don't know, he's like a villain that's after her. And I don't know, in a zombie movie, I think it's a little weird to have a specific villain.
It becomes like a stalker killer type situation.
You know what other movie did that? Army of the Dead.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, part of it is that this guy is like kind of an incel. He got rejected by her, and like now he's got this rage virus.
Dude,
and
he's
it's
got
like,
before he fully loses it, he's got the full incel manifesto under his breath that he just spits out.
And I don't know, like it makes sense that, like, I understand within the mechanics of this movie and like the mechanics of these zombies that's what they do. So like I get it. I just for me, the fear of zombies is like the horde, and that there's anarchy and there's chaos and there's no like support, and it just kind of took a different direction. So like, I don't know, I would not watch again because I just don't need to see a lot of that again. And I'm someone that likes gore and body horror, but I don't need to see that sexual stuff again.
Casey.
Okay, first, they're not zombies, Caitlin. They never died.
They are not. But I said they're not normal zombies. They're like rage maniacs.
Yeah, I'm not far off from Caitlin. I was into this movie for a good bit. It was this movie, as you start out watching it, and we'll get into the weird shit later, of course, but you start out watching it, and there's nothing groundbreaking about this movie. It feels like 28 Days Later, but it's not done badly. You're engaged in the characters. I'm interested in what's going on. I kind of like watching this way things are breaking down slowly, going around them. I like the little dribbles of information we get from the news stories. That stuff's cool. And even, you guys have been listening forever. I don't mind blood and gore. I'm a trauma apologizer. So I'm down for most of this stuff. But this movie, there's parts of this movie that made me uncomfortable in the same ways that Terrifier made me uncomfortable. There's some kind of acts of violence that just feels like it's crossing a line and you shouldn't do. And
Terrifier's way better than this movie, but I understand.
Yeah. But then it kind of flips over at that point, and some of this weird, we talked about this in email, some of this weird sexual stuff, the side that comes out of this, and there is a point to it, and it's part of the storyline. But it starts to devolve into more of that than just the general violence, which makes the last half of the movie a little bit more uncomfortable to watch, for sure. And it just kind of leaves you feeling grimy. Other than that, the story itself, going through the movie, like I said, I was into it at the beginning. Through the second act, you get into the third act, it starts to slow down quite a bit and loses a lot of its pace. And I think with everything going on, we just kind of lose focus that we're supposed to care about this couple. And so as far as the story goes, it's just kind of, by the time you get to the end, you know what's going on. You know what's going to happen. And it's just kind of like, okay, you got it done with. Let's go and move on to the next one.
Jonathan.
I'm pretty aligned. There is part of me that really wants to pound the table and be like, this movie's on to something. I mean, like, the nice things I would say, I think it's really well made. Like, I actually think the director is like fairly, like, put it this way, this is like it's like a gore fest extravagant, but this is like as high end as something like that gets in the way that it looks and is put together.
It's almost a little in conflict, like how nice it looks and how kind of silly the gore is a little bit.
Yeah. But to Caitlin's point, like, the effects, like, they're good. Like, they got a good effects team here.
I really believe that guy's penis was being slammed up against barbed wire. Like, they got me.
I was gonna go the fryer to the face and then the fingers and the grease.
Oh my God. And because it really does come out of the gate with really hard with that stuff.
Also, full disclosure, I don't know what happened with the babies because I skipped past it because I knew where it was going.
Yeah.
You skipped the whole info dump, Barrick.
No. I just skipped
okay.
the visual, like, as he,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
You hear him crying, and I'm like, "You're not getting me, movie. F you, not today."
Yeah.
Eric said, "I've had a week, not to do it."
That's the thing with this movie. Like, in a different time and place, like, I might have been on board. Like, it's so fucking grim. Like, it's so dark. It, like, the violent, like, the level of violence, and to Caitlin's point is earlier, like, it's really about the like sexualization and like the way that the direction that it went. And it doesn't start there. Like, that first sequence where the lady shows up in the restaurant and like puts the fry thing on the guy's head and his skin melts. It's like, that's gross. And like, for a lot of people, they're like turning it off at that point. This is a group that can power through those moments and celebrate them. When it gets to the, like, everybody's raping and like wanting to be, raping. I mean, when I say everybody, it's like the male rage zombies all like immediately go to like sexualized violence in a way that it, and again, it doesn't
they
start,
explain
it, like,
it at some point with brain science, John, so it makes sense.
But But like that, it all felt a little weird because like at that
Yeah,
point, you've
yes.
seen a lot of violence that's not that. Like even Eric, the scene you're referencing where like
Also,
there's
it
this
seems
group.
it seems airborne, but people are random people
Well,
are affected by it.
that's we should come back to that, but just to put it aside for a second, like it's more the like what is this virus doing to people? Why are like a large percentage of people turning into like rape maniacs, and then other ones are just like wanting to kill. And
I don't know if that was a commentary that like rape is an act of violence, which it is, and I don't know if, but it's like
it's not commentary. I don't think there was any commentary. Like I think that's giving it like too. I think. Well, the point I was making is maybe like a little more nuanced and not in like a productive way, but like it's like the movie doesn't start with all the rapey stuff. It like it kind of like bleeds in through the middle of the movie, and then by the end, it's like all sexual violence. Like everything that's going on in that hospital is people trying to like rape the main character, like which at that
or the
point,
babies.
well, exactly. You're just like, what the fuck? So I don't know. It like got darker and darker for me in a way that I like was losing interest as it went because of that. The scene, Eric, that you were referencing was an example of like a scene where I'm like, I don't 100% know what this is supposed to be doing, but it like worked at some like when you have those like teenagers who are like in baseball outfits, just like abusing that one dude, but not in necessarily a sexual way. I mean, there's a little bit of like hit him in the balls with the barbed wire.
Right,
I
but
think
it still
they were
felt like violence.
they were
Yeah.
just warming up. I feel like because somebody says something at some point in that scene where like you felt like maybe it was about to go there.
The guy that they were slamming into the barbed wire is the one that said, "I was about to get my nut."
Yeah, he's like, I'm about to shoot my load, and it's like, but and that's weird because that guy is also infected.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and just to come back to
And then later,
something
okay, I didn't catch that because then later in the movie they're like, oh, this is why they don't attack each other or something.
I know.
But there was
like,
a
what?
sequence in the hospital where there's like the blood orgy that someone mentioned, and like I think that was all people who were infected because it wasn't like a rape scene. It was like
right,
a
they
blood
were all
orgy.
infected. Yeah.
So it's like, what is this virus really doing? Like, is it making them like just
The
like
air
horny?
virus, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of issues. Like, if you're a hardcore gore hound, like I'm sure you're gonna like this movie. And I was mentioning earlier, like I read a bunch of reviews just to like see what people were saying online. Like regular websites, like The Guardian had like a somewhat positive review, like RogerEbert.com, like 3 stars. I was like, what are these? Like, are these people seeing a different movie? Like, they're like trying to take something away from this that I don't think was there. So I don't know. It's not great.
This movie is like pretty deranged, and I don't really mean that as an insult or a compliment. It just is.
Yeah.
Partially, it's because I kind of had the benefit maybe of Caitlin warning me about it, that it was like grim or something. I actually think this movie is silly as shit and like not in a good way. Like it feels very edgelordy. Like it's trying to be mega violent in a shocking way, but the violence is so goofy. It's like over the top, dead alive goofy that it has no impact. Like there was some disgusting stuff I didn't want to see, but none of it really struck me as that grim or having any kind of emotional impact because you don't give a shit about anybody, even the main characters, because they're barely characters. So like what it kind of ends up feeling like is just sort of a edgelordy kind of movie with zero impact. And what I do think it has going for it, I think the first act leading up to basically that first zombie scene is pretty solid, and I think has some nice subtle tension as you're kind of waiting for things to like pop off a little bit. And even that first scene is pretty crazy in the restaurant or whatever, but it just kind of goes aimless from there, which is about 40 minutes in. It's just funny shit I don't get. Like, this guy straight up witnesses homicidal rage murders happening in this restaurant, right? He's then chased by murder, rape zombies. He goes back to his apartment. We then cut, and he's sitting there watching TV. He's watching some kind of insane cartoon where they're like raping each other. It's like, I don't know if you guys actually pay attention to that cartoon. It's insane.
It was like a big bad wolf thing.
Yeah,
I
but
assumed
like,
that the channel had been hijacked by someone sick, infected, that
oh,
wanted to like
interesting.
inflict
I like that.
violence that way.
Well,
But
because
the-
all the other channels had been shut down.
You
at
know,
that
he's in
point.
like shock
Yeah.
a little bit. I get it, but he's watching TV. Like a significant amount of time has passed. Like all the shit's gone. And then a thing comes over the loudspeaker. This I liked because it was kind of funny. And the guy's like, "This is the new order. We are gonna chop your dicks off and rape your women in the streets." And he was like, "I should text my girlfriend." Like that's the thing that it's been so long. And like starting from there, I'm like, well, why do I give a shit? Like this dude barely seems to care. Like they barely like are able to communicate with each other. There's not a lot of emotion. It's just they're just a couple like real empty, good-looking characters who like I guess are trying to find each other, but they're very aimless throughout a lot of the movie. You know what this movie I feel like is perfect for? Like if you are throwing a Halloween party and you're like the horror friend and people come over and they're like, "Yeah, what kind of AG, like what are we going to put on the TV?" Like you want to have like a reel of crazy movies running while you just have the volume off and you're playing music and you're having a Halloween party and you want to like show your friends something edgy, you just put this movie on. Like it's just gory and like lots of crazy camera work. And you know, it's also not American, so they'll be like, "You're so sophisticated." This is what goes on, John, with these like outlets that are like brilliant 5 stars. It's like these people who don't watch a lot of horror movies feel like they see a non-American horror movie and they just have to like praise it up and down. But honestly, like
I don't think that's.
I would counter with like the Belko experiment maybe better for like violence in
that's
the
a
background.
great background. Well, listen, you gotta have more than one movie. You gotta have like a reel
Yeah.
to play for your dinner party. I mean, you and me,
I
This
would
is like late night.
Caitlin, you and me
when
would throw a
everyone's
party
blacked
would
out.
last.
after dark.
Caitlin, like
Gross.
you and I would throw a party would last 90 minutes. We'd only need one movie, but other people might need more movies. So anyway, it's not very good. It's got some real shocking moments in it. But by the time I got to the eyeball scene, I was like, why do I care? And like, I feel like I might have an old man opinion on this, John, but I'm just gonna say it anyway.
Not you.
Those of us who grew up through the like draconian MPAA days in like the late 90s, early 2000s, where like nothing could get into a theater unless it was fully neutered, right? And there was no other real distribution for movies unless you're talking like a blockbuster release when those were still around, right? Like you might get like there's a small lane for direct-to-video horror, but you're not making that much money. But so when a movie came through and either had trouble getting released or maybe did go to Blockbuster and was really gory, this is like, but when you say stuff like, maybe in a different era, I would have thought differently of this. You showed this movie in 2002, I would have had to change my pants. I would have been like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. But here's my point. Like, that stuff felt transgressive at that time because it was sort of bucking against the like cultural norms of the day and like entertainment norms. And it was also at the time harkening back to like 80s stuff, which a lot of us grew up on, those of us who were like a little older. There felt like there was a sort of almost a cause to get behind with like a gory movie. In 2022, like if you want to just watch it because you still enjoy it and it's fun, great. But for me, like I don't know what the point of it is anymore. Like we just live in a gore, sex-soaked society, and I'm not saying get rid of it, but from my point of view, having done so many 600 and almost 66 movies on the show, plus other ones I watched, like
Spooky.
doing this to be provocative, it gets a flat line for me. Like,
Yeah,
and
all
I
right,
think
well-
in part of the reason like why what you see pushing the trends of horror are what people will call like elevated horror, because that is the current like undiscovered territory that people are pushing harder and harder into, is like, how can we really make a horror film emotionally? Like, I'm not saying that's the only lane. I'm just saying for me personally, this movie where this guy bangs at eye socket, I'm like, okay, fucking, I don't know, dude. Like I saw Martyrs and I wanted to die.
Been there,
I
done
don't
that,
need this.
bro.
Like, I'm cool.
No, Eric, sorry. The point I was making about like
I'm
at a different time, I
jaded.
just meant like the world is so grim right now that like
Well, that I mean,
there's only
yes.
so much like nihilism I can handle in my like horror movies.
Also, yes, of course.
But your point on the elevated heart, like a movie that had maybe not this level of gore, but like if you're Ari Aster and you are like, you know, with Hereditary, like there's some really fucked up stuff that happens in that movie.
Exactly,
But
but
at the
it's
core
but
of
it's
it is
all
like,
there.
well, and it's at the core of it is like some very emotional story, or storytelling about families
It's
and
multi-dimensional. It's
familial. Yeah,
multi-dimensional.
exactly. And so it's more impactful because it's all packaged together and
Yes.
it's shot and presented in an elevated way. Again, I think this movie artistically, like visually, a lot to recommend. But
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I would push back a little. Like this is more. This was shocking to me. Like I was,
Yeah.
and not like not like.
I
clutch 'em a
wonder if
pearl
I had watched
scandalized,
this.
but I was like,
I wonder if I
Jesus
had watched
Christ,
this a
movie.
week ago and not in the state I am after like the news the last couple days. Like, if I
Sure.
would have been more shocked by it, but I don't know.
I
It
think
could
for
be.
me,
That very well could be. Eric.
yeah. I think for me, it was just, I don't know. I really didn't care about the relationship between the two main characters because I don't think it was well. Like, I don't know. Like, they wake up together and she's kind of annoyed with him. And I don't know. I
Also-
don't have like a lot to root for them.
This is a
Oh, yeah.
definite old man
The-
opinion, but when I see people this young that are like, "Oh, he doesn't want
I
to go on
love you."
vacation with
Yeah.
me," it's like, listen, you two, live some fucking life and find out what real the sadness is, and then you can come
How
back and talk
dare
to me.
you be in love,
Yeah.
young people?
But
Fuck off.
the one like dynamic I did like was that the main girl, Kat, kind of helps save this girl, Molly, on the train, and like they have like a fast friendship of sort of survival together. And they're both women, and they keep being threatened. Like
Molly
the
with no
subway
eye.
guy is like, I've never had a threesome before, and it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, it's I don't know, just like the level of humiliation, like sexual humiliation, sexual violence was too much for me.
Well-
I did want to, however, give a shout out to one underrated, I think, for this movie, gore scene, which is near the end when like you can see the outline of an axe in the floor, like there's blood around it, and you can see that it's missing. And she whispers like, "Where's the axe?" And like out of nowhere, one of the rage people comes up and chops off a foot and then pukes into the guy's wound, which is like fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
You know, there's a scene when he approaches the like guys on the basketball court. He fights them off with full on like martial arts in a pretty cool. It's very short.
He goes like, yeah.
It's a really
Like-
cool sequence, and I got excited. Do you remember the movie Versus?
Oh yeah.
Versus is like a martial arts zombie movie, and the scene in this movie got me excited. Like that's a fucking movie. Like what I want to see a dude kicking the shit out of zombies with like martial arts. Like that would be pretty amazing. That's kind of, it doesn't really continue to be as strong of a thing as it.
Well,
Scenes in that
especially when
scene.
you look at it that like he doesn't do a whole lot in this movie, which
He
is
doesn't-
part of
no,
the
he doesn't do anything.
yeah,
That's- yeah.
which is hard. What makes it hard to care by the end because he's just been tooling around town essentially.
They
He
also
hasn't
run
even been
away.
in
They
danger that
also
much.
they also
He
run
has,
away
two
from.
fingers gone, but
They
Yeah.
run away from him in that scene. It
That
would have been
was
awesome
brutal.
to just see him like fully murder all those guys. Like that's
Yeah.
sort of, then we're getting to a level of camp and fun that I can get into. I feel like a little like less grim, more fun. I don't know.
Yeah, and to me, I mean, it felt I was enjoying looking at it as a campy, grim type of thing with that violence up until that eye socket scene, and then I felt dirty, and that's when it started to. For the rest of the movie, it's like, oh god, they're just doing more and more sex stuff.
Well-
it really was. It was that main bad, the main big bad that Caitlin. Like
Subway
as
guy.
soon as he becomes so central, it takes that. I mean, that's partially I think why the film goes in such a sexualized direction because he does have this like incel-y background and like, or at least set up, and the extreme version of that is exactly like, where
Yeah.
he ends up going. Eric raised this earlier. I do think it's worth coming back to. Who gets this virus? I mean, it is
Yeah.
revealed somewhat at the end that like some people are immune to the virus. Like that's like a thing that happens in the last like 15 minutes of this movie. But like on that subway car, for example,
Right.
it was like half the people. Like
there was
Or the
some biting,
diner.
but I don't.
And they
I
were
don't-
going it, and they were turning at different times. During
It
stuff,
seems
too, so-
right. The timing's inconsistent, and I feel like it's airborne, right? Because that's how you get around that in normal zombie movie. It's always bite transmitted.
Yeah.
But like when it's
Mhm.
maybe because there are masks. There's shots of masks in this movie. Like it was very clearly like a pandemic inspired zombie movie. Which doing
It's
Yeah,
like
but
they're
there's no
living with-
masks.
Do we need
They're
that?
living with the pandemic, and then it's this Alvin variant that's supposed to be like the guy in the beginning. He's like, "You gotta listen to
Like,
me," and
We're already living in a pandemic-inspired zombie movie. Do we need a
Yeah.
fictionalized version of that? I'm not sure.
Also,
rack it up.
Alvin's not a good scary name for your virus. I mean, it just brings to me that
Alvin,
chipmunk to mind.
Simon, Theodore.
Theodore.
Do, do, do,
Do,
do, do, do, do.
do. Can we talk about why it's called the sadness?
Yes, please.
So, and I don't know. I appreciate this, I guess, but it was also kind of silly. But it's so the rage people are crying when they're doing this, and it's the scientist that she
Yes.
meets explains that it's because although they're doing these heinous things, they're compelled to do it, but they still cognitively understand that it's bad. So like they're crying because they're sad that they're doing it, but they can't help themselves because like it's compulsory. It was.
Except everyone in the movie seems completely gleeful and excited about what they're doing and not sad.
I guess I saw tears on a cup.
No,
I don't
there were tears. Like it definitely like comes up, and like the boyfriend, spoiler alert. I think isn't it like pretty prominent for like we see it on him, but
Well, it's like the first thing I noticed was like the all black eyes, and I guess that was more
Well, they
interesting
were
to me than
red.
the tears.
they
Yeah,
had like
there's
a
a
red
red rim,
bullseye.
too.
They had it was like red around it and then black. Yeah, the
At
eyes
least the
were
babies
creepy
did.
looking.
Yeah, the baby. Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing with the babies, like the scientist was like, I don't know. He was like, I had to lock myself in here with the infants, and there were 8 of them, and I injected them all to see if there were any immune so we could make a vaccine. And then like she pulls a baby out of the like medical waste trash can that's like, it's like just
Yeah.
so stupid.
I did like the doctor's reasoning though, because he's like, yeah, everything started breaking down. I had these 8 babies, so I injected them all to see who was there, or to see who was immune. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It's logical.
He was like, they would have gotten raped anyway. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, God, no
Buddy.
direction of this is good.
Yeah, I mean, the
Science.
decision to have such a strong focus on the sexual violence in a movie that is this weird combination of grim and silly, like it's purely done just for like sensational,
Yeah, especially since they give us the reasoning for the sexual violence so late in the movie. Maybe if we would have had more information on how this infection was creating these people and connecting these two parts of their brain and whatnot, and we had a reasoning on why they were going the sexual way
right? I mean,
earlier
you're
on. It
you're
might
just
have made it not as grimy.
for better or
I don't know. I
worse,
still need to watch
for
it.
better or worse, you're
Yeah.
just not making a zombie movie for like a 2005 zombie starved audience anymore. You're making a zombie movie for people who've maybe watched The Walking Dead for 20 years of their life and like seen a billion zombie movies in the last 20. Like,
Yeah,
But that's why I think they had to go an extreme direction.
well,
Like,
that's
I think
fine.
that
No,
was
no.
part
But
of
to
the
Casey's
decision.
point, like every aspect of it has to be well thought out.
yeah.
Or
And
there's
the
got to be
dialogue
something
about
unique.
it is so bad. Like, I mean, John, you're right. I do think it's well made, and I really do appreciate that the gore is mostly practical effects. That's really impressive. But I don't know. The dialogue, like when the scientist is like talking about why they're raping, he's like, yeah, the rage center of your brain is close to the sexual center. Curious. And it's like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah, he says like there's not much of a difference between the two parts of your brain or something like that.
Yep.
There's some tension in that scene where you're sort of trying to figure out if he's kosher or not.
A
Yeah.
little bit.
But then, like, when he's starting to turn, he was like, killing those babies felt so good. And I was like, okay, this is just really bad writing.
Well, yeah, the problem is once she's in that room with him, you know it like can't end.
My
well.
name is
so
Doctor
then it becomes
Baby Killer, MD.
Well, that's where you start getting ragged around the edges on this movie too. Is once she gets to that part with the doctor, like he makes a big deal about how she may be infected and handcuffs her in the shower, makes her take a chemical bath, then puts clean scrubs on and stuff, and telling her we're gonna go jump on this helicopter. It's gonna fly us someplace safe, and he's putting his whole Tyvek suit back on and everything like that. But after all that, disinfecting her and stuff like that, he's just gonna let her walk, without a mask or anything, up to the helicopter and go away. Little details like that they started to
well,
lose
but she
there,
was
too.
immune. She was
That's
immune.
true.
So he was like, fuck, you know.
Well, they
That's
didn't.
the hope.
Oh yeah, because he had it.
Well, because he injected her and she never
Right.
got
Yeah.
it.
I mean, but it's like some people, their incubation period does seem longer. So it's like maybe she could have had it, but then she goes up on
Yeah.
the roof and we know what happens there.
Wait, do we know what happens on the roof?
You hear gunshots. So I assume she's shot at, because like then like
fair.
the last shot is of the boyfriend like grinning like
Yeah, yeah.
maniacally, like I guess happy that he heard gunshots, that his girlfriend is dead now. I don't know.
For a rage virus too, they lock the boyfriend into the cell, and she's saying goodbye to him. Takes off. You'd think with the rage virus, he'd be like doing even though it's hurting him, because we've seen others hurt themselves. He'd be going ape shit, and they're trying to get out. But he just sits down and grins.
Well, he's like, I want to slice your skin off slowly, and it's like, oh my god, dude, like
That's
Yeah.
what. Yeah, that's where it gets real.
that's my
edgelordy.
purpose in life. Like, shut up.
When you cook
You'd think
eggs,
he'd at least bang his head against the steel bars or something, right?
I would have loved that.
when you cook eggs on a griddle like that, what kind of oil do you think they use?
Canola, something cheap. It's a restaurant.
Right, high smoke point. It's probably important.
Yeah.
Isn't Taiwan where some restaurants illegally farm the oil from the fat burgers in the sewer? I read about that somewhere.
I've never heard that.
More interesting movie.
That just made me.
That sentence more interesting than this whole movie.
That made me instantly want to vomit, Casey. Thank you.
Into a wound, Eric.
Yeah, we're gonna need some confirmation on that story. Anything else in this movie?
I
got
like when
nothing.
they have like the Chinese prime minister or president or whoever is like speaking to the public, and like he gets a grenade shoved in his mouth and his head blows up.
Oh, that
Which,
scene was like my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I was like,
It's such
maybe
a
I am back
slow
on board.
burn too, to like leading up to it, and then it's just so ridiculous.
I was wondering like who's gonna be the one who turned, like, because there's so many people on TV.
I like to. There's like 8
Oh.
to 20 military dudes there, and you only see one try to stop him, and he just goes, huh, like he just like pushes him off with his arm, and that was it. And then they're like, okay, I guess just kill him with a grenade now.
Yeah.
All
Cool
right,
scene.
whatever, man. Caitlin, would you recommend this movie?
No, I don't think so.
Casey?
I think if you're into extreme gore and know what you're getting into, it's probably worth a watch, because there's some good effects going on there. And if you're in those kind of movies, that's really a lot of what you're into anyway. So I think in that vein, it's worth it.
John?
Yeah, if you're on Shudder and you're trolling the like gore classics collection or whatever, and
Yeah.
you've seen them all, like maybe you
Yeah,
jump into
I'm
this
gonna give it an extra thumb down. So I'm gonna give it 2 thumbs down. So that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That makes 5 of us thumbs down. There you go. All right. I gotta open my iPad again, John. Do you hear that? That's gonna do it for the sadness. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
They were resting in peace until they were rudely interrupted.
What do you want to do, Skull? Get on the gravestone?
I just want to party.
This place is a mess.
Now look who's awake.
They're on the way.
They're back from the grave and ready to party.
I think things are getting out of hand.
The Return of the Living Dead. Rated R.
Hey, this is Brian O'Halloran. You might know me from such films as Clerks, Clerks 2, Brutal Massacre. You're listening to BloodyGoodHorror.com.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
From Food and Wine magazine, Monstrous so-called fatbergs made of grease and garbage are floating through sewers across the globe, blocking and breaking pipes, clogging toilets, and generally wreaking havoc. It probably doesn't really sound like something you'd want to find in your kitchen, but some people are now illegally harvesting the globs of fat to make cooking oil. National Geographic reports that these fatbergs begin to coalesce when someone in the above-ground world dumps grease down the kitchen sink. Then another person down the street flushes their dirty paper towels, while someone else throws their bacon grease straight out of the pan and into the drain, all of which collects and congeals below. If the blobs get big enough, they block sewer systems, sending raw sewage gushing out into the streets. A 15-ton fatberg was pulled from a London sewer in 2013, while New York City has spent $18 million in the past 5 years trying to fight these floating disasters. In many places, including the United States, when grease traps are required in restaurants, thieves have broken in and stolen the accumulated grease to convert to cooking oil, which they then sell on the black market for a hefty return. An estimated $75 million worth of cooking oil is stolen in the U.S. every year. That's crazy. The same thing happens in China, where enterprising criminals steal fat from the sewers and grease traps, clean it up only minimally, and then sell the resulting quote-unquote gutter oil on the black market. In the UK, where fatbergs are a growing nuisance, sewer workers have now been specifically tasked with the unpleasant job of cleaning out the fat-filled pipes and drains of the Thames. I say that?
Thames, yes.
Themselves.
Eric, we're going to have to pay a license fee if you keep reading this article.
Yeah, I know.
It is
I
revolting.
think I broke him.
Want to be sure that you aren't contributing to the fatberg epidemic? National Geographic points out that so-called flushable wet wipes are a huge part of the problem. You can also read our handy guide on substances you should most definitely not pour down your drain at this link, John, which is http. No, I'm just kidding.
Food and wine. News you can use.
// double www.
So that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Sure is.
Humans are disgusting.
I know that like harvesting used oil is like a thing, like in restaurants in New York. Like there's like trucks that like drive around New York like collecting the used oil.
Well, I knew
from
people
restaurants.
used it for biodiesel, but I didn't know about this sick ass.
Yeah, well,
shit.
no, this is.
Well, I mean,
Jesus.
like with the trucks and a legitimate business, they've got filtering and cleaning processes for that stuff too.
Still.
Yeah.
Gross.
Still not pleasant.
I spent $200 on a valve stem today. That was stupid.
Ooh.
A what?
A valve stem. It's the thing that regulates air in and out of your tire. Some hot bullshit. Hey, Casey.
Yes.
Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell people where you've been?
Yes, I've been out. I had surgery. I had a couple discs replaced in my neck back here between my shoulder blades. Supposed to be one, got in there and found out it was pretty bad. So they replaced two. So I've got 2 bits of cadaver bone in my spine.
So like,
and a big
there's
old
no
titanium plate.
So there's no cartilage there anymore, right?
Well, they replaced it with cadaver bone.
So
essentially.
have you lost any mobility?
This is about how far back my head goes now. That's
And
about
is that just because it's healing?
We just looked at the 6 scar too when you did that.
Is
Yeah,
that just
that's
because is that just because it's healing, or is that just the way it'll be now?
I honestly don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But
Did you ask them
I've been-
questions when you were there?
Yes, I did ask questions. But I don't know. I'm having a different experience. I've had talked to other people that have had. I started out with the C6 vertebrae. The disc in that one was slipped, and I think they replaced C6 and C7, and then the plate goes over 5, 6, 7. I've talked to other people that had a C6 disc operated on. And they were telling me they took short-term disability for like 4 weeks off of work, and they had to sleep at a 30-degree angle and stuff like that. I was back to work in a week and a half.
Damn, dude.
I went back to work last Wednesday. So
Come on, Casey, milk it a little better, buddy.
yeah, got shit to do, unfortunately.
This is we live under capitalism, Caitlin. You must drive yourself into the ground at all costs. So
I worked 11 hours today. I know.
Yeah. Honestly, I work from the same desk, and I was getting really bored sitting here in recovery. So I think it was better for my mental health to go back to work. Probably better for Colleen's mental health too.
Caitlin, what's going on over at Plug It Up?
A lot's going on. We had a controversial episode drop this week, but it's been really good. It was on Dead Girl. Yeah.
I did see that show up in my feed, and that movie. Oh, man.
It's it's worth a second look, I think. And the director Marcel Sarmiento listened, as did the titular dead girl, Jenny Spain.
Wow.
Yeah, so they both listened and shared on their socials, which I thought was very exciting. Every once in a while, same thing with We Summon the Darkness. The director listened, and that always makes me feel really good.
Kind of a brilliant plan to like review these kinds of like smaller indie movies, but like 10 years after they come out, because then anybody involved, like, you're just like, hey, somebody's talking about our thing. Like, retweet us.
Yeah.
Well, and especially because Dead Girl was panned and also like heavily criticized. And I think we, we're able to suss out some really progressive and feminist themes that maybe got skipped at the time.
Interesting.
So I think they were happy to see.
Well,
there's a lot of hate out there for Dead Girl, and I think they were happy to see someone talking about it in a light that wasn't just totally negative.
I think the way we talk about like sex and gender in like horror film criticism is 180 degrees different. Not that it was almost like, maybe I wonder if it was almost too hard to get past how shocking that movie is to see it at the time, whereas now that kind of a movie is much more common now.
Well, yeah, and there's nuance to it, and
Right.
I don't know, it was a good conversation, and I don't know, I always appreciate when I try to like let the directors know, tag them, and every once in a while they'll respond to like the smaller movies. We Summon the Darkness, Dead Girl. Selma Blair did like when I tagged her for Mom and Dad though, which
That's
was
cool.
like hell yeah. But no, Dead Girl was a special one now, even more so because of the kind interaction from the
Love
stars.
it. And that's so people can just search Plug It Up on their socials.
Yep. Red logo designed by our buddy Darren.
John, patreon.com.
Yeah.
If you sign up for Patreon, you can get, at any level, you'll get our Patreon podcast feed. That gets you an early release of the show. It also gets you weekly classics and all the archives of all the old classics. John, you want to hear an episode of The Eric Show where I talk about reading Game of Thrones for like 45 minutes?
I've listened to it. Actually.
It's on there. Yeah, it's on there.
Eric, bring it back. More Eric Show.
Man. So
might be too grim.
You can check. I know these days you can check that out. You can also check out the live stream of the show. You can check out John's sexy white T-shirts he's wearing every week here on the show, and his white karate instructor hair that he's got going on. What else we got going? Slack. You can join our Slack community. You can get back episodes of the show. There's something for everyone there on the Slack there, John. Another thing going on is our biggest supporters are going to be getting a BGH Patreon exclusive T-shirt this year. I know people heard me mention this recently, and then I've kind of not been talking about it. We got a snafu with the printers, John. Our design by Mr. John Gulau of Slime and Grime it's so amazing, the printers can't handle it, basically.
It's too good.
We did a test print. I mean, this was Eric, very thoughtful, because I probably would not have thought of this myself. You did the test print. Disappointing.
I've seen enough questionable
Did not
stuff.
print well.
I've seen enough questionable stuff out of TeePublic in the last couple of years that like I wanted to see.
I feel like they've done good work for us. Like, listen, we don't want to besmirch a partner who has done good work for us in other teas. But this tea.
Well, so like BGH
logos
logos work pretty good because they're solid color.
Mm-hmm.
This is like an incredibly intricate design, which is what's really cool about it. But we're gonna have to probably go to like a screen print and manual mailing, which is gonna complicate and elongate the process. But we're gonna get there. So.
Now hiring an intern for the screen printing.
Yes, related. Yeah. But anyway, check out all that action. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. We've had like an uptick lately in the Patreon, so it's been nice. What's on Twitter this evening?
All right, we just got 2 tweets tonight. Got questions? Hit us up using the hashtag. excuse me, AskBGH. First up, we have from Taylor at Frozen Food. He states that the guy's got a good point, but it's just a simple meme of the classic of the lady and her boyfriend and laying in bed and her thinking saying, I bet he's thinking about another woman. Him, how did the monster from Jeepers Creepers not only register a car, but also get a personalized license plate?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question.
That's a good point.
John, trivia. What does the Jeepers Creepers license plates? What does the Creepers license plate say?
No idea. No idea.
Does anyone in this room know this answer?
CR33P3R.
No, that would be good. That would be good. It is.
I was gonna guess.
It is
similar.
be eating you.
I'm gonna take that one for Virginia, I think.
Yeah.
I would have gone with Creeper. It would have been better. All right. Our second one, longtime listener and Twitter friend at COW Flanagan. Yo, I caught a scene from the 40s filmed a yearling and openly sobbed. It upset my grandkids that I was on my phone during Rescue Rangers. What's a random bit of pop culture that gives you the sadness? Yo, Schnars, I know driving Miss Daisy be giving you the feels. Much love.
I've never seen Driving Miss Daisy.
I think this just came into my head, but I think the Truman Show is like one of the saddest movies I've ever seen. Like, even by the end, it's just like, the whole thing is like, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not a good person to ask because I cry at movies more than anybody else in my house.
Oh, yeah. I cry all the time.
Literally anything.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've talked about it on the show, but the thing that's recent of the last, let's say, 5 years that's had me crying the most is Coco, the movie Coco.
Oh, I mentioned this. Yeah, Coco. I did mention this in the show too. Encanto. That movie's sad as shit. Like,
yes. It got me the first time.
I don't have as many, like, honest to God, I hear the music from Coco, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. Like,
dude, I used to say this too.
I've heard the music so many times.
That last scene, the final, like the penultimate scene of Moana, waterworks every time.
Yeah, Moana.
I tell you, one that caught me off guard and I wasn't expecting was Big Fish. Back in the day. Yeah. That's a good movie, but there was a lot with the main characters and the way the dad was and stuff that reminded my own dad, and it was a few years after I lost my dad and stuff. It just caught me out of the nowhere, and I sobbed for a good 3/4 of that movie.
If I wasn't, there's got to be more, but I have trouble accessing that. John.
Yeah.
I tend to block that stuff out when it makes me feel things.
Did you guys watch Rescue Rangers?
No.
Not yet.
So I hadn't watched it, but we put my kids in front of it when we were trying to get shit done last weekend, and they big fans.
All right, I'll have to put it on. I'm sick of all the other crap they're watching on Netflix. I would get rid of Netflix right now, but there's like multiple kids shows that they're watching that like I need.
Yeah. Coco
but for me, Netflix is like useless.
Coco Melon, John?
Coco Melon? I don't know.
Oh, dude.
Melon?
Coco Melon is psychotic. It's like the modern version of like, what was that dumbass cartoon with the sun when we were Teletubbies? Yeah, it's like I mean, like it's educational, but it's dead-eyed and psycho.
Eric, you know what's great on Netflix for the kids? Number Blocks. Do your kids watch the Number Blocks?
No.
Very good.
No, my oldest just turned 6. She's on this show called Miraculous, which is like almost a little too old for her. It's like very tween.
We're familiar.
It's very tween romancy, but she watches this shit like on a fucking loop.
No, so I also have a 6-year-old daughter, and she's the exact same way. She watches all the stuff that's like, it's definitely meant for like 12 or 13-year-old girls, right. And I'm like, what the fuck?
No, 100%.
I tried to steer her away from it. She really's into She-Ra right now.
12, you read 17 magazine, even though it's not.
I understand. Yeah.
We're also watching a lot of I have to basically force the like 3-year-old to pick something, not like force her, but like this. Otherwise, her older sister would just dominate all the viewing. Yeah. So then we'll get like some Gabby's Dollhouse. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
Eric, you could not name a show on Netflix that I am not at least.
That one's got good music. I dig the music in that show. It's at least got like some like pop.
No, the Gabby's music, solid. I mean, I don't like sit and watch it, but like what I pick up.
It's not offensive to my ears the way Miraculous is.
Yeah, She-Ra, the 6-year-old is like getting into right now, which I guess they like rebooted and is like a whole thing. And it's pretty good. She's like super into it.
Okay, so. John, nice. Is your daughter watching? It's like H2O, something of water or something, and it's like this early 2000s show from Australia. It's live action of like teenage girls who are also mermaids.
Oh no, I
It's
don't
the
think
most
I've not seen
awesome.
It's
that.
the most god awful thing you've ever
I
fucking
have
seen.
that have not. That's not hit my
Oh
radar
my
yet.
god.
I'm trying to think of the
It's the
mermaid
equivalent
movie.
of like you would have randomly seen this on USA at 10 o'clock in the morning when we were younger. Like that's the exact lane of what this show is.
Aquamarine. That's the movie I was thinking
Mm.
about mermaids.
Anyway, that wasn't the question, but good talk, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad my dad cartoon era went out with like Fairly Odd Parents and Foster's
love
Home for
Fairly Odd
Imaginary
Parents.
Friends.
John, you
That was
ever seen
Delaney's era.
you ever seen Ben and Holly, John, on Netflix?
I believe
It's like
so.
super
I've definitely
fancy-
seen the tile.
Super fancy Britishy gnomes, basically. Gnomes and fairies.
I don't know.
They
Grizzly and the Lemmings. Are you familiar with Grizzly and the
No.
Lemmings? Because that show I'll watch. Like I'll sit down and my kids fucking love it. It's basically Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, but it's a grizzly bear and then like these lemmings. It's Canadian, so it's set in like Banff or wherever, and it's wild. It's very short too. It's like 10 minutes, and there's lots of like the grizzly bear getting hit by a telephone pole and stuff. So
I'm
You guys
not
should
being
try out.
facetious when I say that like I would listen to the dad cast of y'all talking about cartoons.
see, this is it though. Like I don't want to have to like study them anymore to talk
Yeah.
about. I just want to be like, yeah. Here's
It,
No,
what
that's
like-
what I'm saying. This type of
Here's the thing.
conversation specifically.
Because we're short tonight anyway, so I might as well get into it. It freaks me out to see my kid basically binge watch a show the same way I do, because we didn't binge watch shows as kids because you couldn't. So I'm like, what is
Couldn't,
this doing to
yeah.
your brain? Like this is a whole new world, man. Like I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
You
I
guys
wonder.
should. My suggestion for you two, for your own sanities as parents, and Caitlin, I'd say you should watch it too because I think you'd enjoy it. But you should have them try Horrible Histories on Hulu. It's a
Oh.
British show, and it talks all about British UK history and stuff. But it's the group behind the original show. If you've seen the CBS American remake of Ghosts, it's the troupe that did the original Ghosts in UK
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. It's hilarious. It's geared towards kids, and it's full of poop and fart jokes because they bring up the gross parts of the history because they know that's what kids are going to listen to, and it's fun. And they make up stupid songs. It's slapsticky. It's a good time. I watch it on my own sometimes.
Love it.
We like Storybots. I don't know if Eric, the kids are watching the Storybots yet.
No.
It's probably like the 6-year-old is like the right, like it's a little probably too.
They're
old
like
for the
me. It's
3-year-old,
hard
but-
to get them into new stuff. You got to catch them in a mood.
Yeah, but Storybot, it's pretty prominent on Netflix. They like pump that a lot. I feel like, but it's a Netflix OG situation. You know, one of those. Yeah. So
You know what my cousin's kids likes to watch on the old YouTube?
I don't let them watch YouTube.
Yeah, I
but,
don't
Yeah,
either.
you shouldn't. It's car crashes. They literally like.
Oh.
I was
What
like,
the
"Fun,
fuck?
what you watch it?" And he was like, "Just they can't read, but he's like watching car crashes and then jumps to the next car crash video." And
Yeah.
I was like, "I don't think this is good for him."
No, we don't.
But-
We don't give them.
That's so fucked up. Oh my god,
Watch
that
him
makes
dash
Caitlin. That makes me feel like the world's best parent. Thank you.
That's the one
Good
holdover
God.
from that era of childhood that I still get though is Delaney's 22 now. Doesn't really watch cartoons that much anymore, but by God, I have to hear all sorts of stories about YouTubers I've never heard of.
Yeah,
And
I saw a
streamers.
tweet one time that was like, "Can you die from your kid telling you about a YouTube video?" I think you can.
Exactly.
But I was
I
like,
have that
"Oh, fuck,
situation
I don't
with,
know."
with my son in video games. That's like just playing, and they're all like Switch games that I bought, but he has to like explain them to me like I've never heard
Oh,
them. I'm
yeah,
like, "Dude,
I started
I
getting-
bought that game.
I started getting the kids into the Switch. You know what I need is a good modern game with some like
Eric,
couch co-op
we
or
get-
something that a little kid, because like I got them playing the original Kirby.
Oh,
The 3-year-old's
Oh,
kind
nice.
of good at it. Like I was kind of surprised.
Eric,
Good
you
luck.
got it. So I can talk about this forever because my son, who's 8, has been playing video games since he was like 3. The new Kirby game is like the best kids game I've ever seen.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
I should pick something.
Forbidden Kingdom or something.
Because
like
we
that.
were playing games and it's like they're so young. I've been like, are they like ready? Not ready, and like I mean like, will they be interested in it? You know what I mean? But they were
Yeah,
like even to the old Kirby, they were like pretty into it, and I'm like,
the new
this is cool. We're just
the new
chilling.
Kirby. It's like a 3D platformer, and the basic setting, the like normal setting, is basically like insanely easy. Like you can't not beat it almost. And then there's like it's called Wild Setting, which is actually like slightly difficult, but it's still not that hard.
Okay, yeah, all right, maybe I'm gonna jump on that.
It's really good.
The Lego games were on sale last week. They may still be on sale. They had a bunch of them. You can get them for $10. Those are, I find those entertaining myself too. But those are good, easy for kids.
Yeah, James played the Lego City game for a little while, but it was almost like too complicated. There was a lot going on.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot now, but good times. All right, do we have what do we got on the old Instagram there, Eric?
We got some pretty good stuff. Some pretty good stuff. People
for anyone who's stayed with us through parenting
Dad
hour. Yeah, dad talk.
People fucked around and found out today about the mood I was in on Twitter when they were or Instagram when they were asking me questions. The most horror movies you've ever watched in a single day.
It was the day that I was sending out Plug It Up. I did some press kits for folks. The day I did that, I just like put together boxes, did all the shit, wrote cards and stuff, and I just let Tubi take me through what it wanted to in the horror genre. I think I got through like 5 or 6.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 is probably my limit. I envy people that are like, I sat down and played video games for 13 hours. I'm like, my brain doesn't allow me to be interested in anything for that long. Like,
I can't sit still for 13 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe I've gotten to 3. I think that's probably my.
There was
I've
one.
probably done 4 or 5 on a good day.
I remember one time in about 2008 or 9, I took Halloween off. This was pre-kids, obviously. Planned like a whole day for myself. Planned out my marathon. Got pizza and snacks, and like I think I watched from like 11 or 12 straight through to like midnight or something. So maybe that was like 6 movies or something. That was pretty sweet. But even by the end of it, I was like, why am I still doing this?
Well, my thing is I'd start drinking at some point, and then it's like I'm only making it through like one more movie after that.
Drinking, so. What's your favorite gory movie?
Brain Dead or Dead Alive?
I think it might be Cabin Fever. I love that movie.
That's a good one. I do like Belko Experiment for or modern one, and I like Saw. You know.
Yeah, I
John
think
said no.
Can never understand you. I'll never.
You don't like Saw?
Dead Alive was
We're like
the original Saw. You don't like Saw?
The original Saw.
The first Saw is pretty sweet.
I'm more like a Book of Saw kind of guy.
I'm more of a Spiral Book of Saw kind of guy, actually.
My favorite gory movie experience was watching Poltergeist with John.
Oh boy, yeah.
Dude, I'll never forget the crowd reaction to the twist reveal in the original Saw. People lost their fucking minds. It's so good.
Yeah, and it's got that da da da.
Yes, that
like
sick
the
music.
Score. It's so good.
It's such a good twist. What is the saddest movie you have ever seen?
That's sad questions. Oh, because it's called The Sadness.
I don't know. I don't know about the whole movie, but The Mist.
Oh God,
man, what a punch!
I
to
don't
the
think
dick.
there's a universe where the saddest movie you've ever seen is a horror movie. I don't know. Like
The
I
en-
get it.
the ending of The Mist, dude. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Oh, I got one.
Like I saw
got one.
Schindler's List.
No, this is
Didn't know what the big deal was.
this is my answer. It's Requiem for a Dream.
Oh God, yeah.
That's like, I mean, it is sad, but you're not like crying. You're just like, holy shit.
No, you're
I gotta
horrified at humanity.
lay down. Like,
That's
yeah.
sadness too, John. I don't know.
You know what? Got it, Casey.
I was gonna say mine's definitely not a horror movie, but there is a movie came out in '96 that Colleen and I had rented. It was shortly after we got married. Did not know what I was getting into. She put it on. We started watching it. It's a drama called "It's My Party." It stars Eric Roberts, and it has Maggie Cho and stuff in it. But it's about Eric Roberts as a man who finds out that he is dying of AIDS. And he is going to take care of it himself because he doesn't want to suffer and put his friends through seeing him suffer. So he's having a final party for himself. I bawled for days. We had friends coming over later that night. We'd start watching the movie. They'd come over later. A friend comes over, knocks on the door. And again, this is like the first year Colleen and I got married. He knocks on the door and I open the door. Eyes are all red. Tears are just flowing. He's like, "Oh God, did you guys break up?" I'm like, "No, it's a movie."
You know, Midnight Mass made me cry pretty hard there at the end. And then a documentary I saw about assisted suicide.
Oh, I mean,
like
with
really
documentaries, that's like a whole other fucking conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's concerning to me how difficult it is for me to like find answers to this question. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Is it because abortion's being made illegal and kids are being killed in school? Maybe. I
No,
don't know.
like for a long time, I mean, this is more for my therapist, but for a long time, like I was so closed off, I just couldn't even feel anything when I watched something like that. That stuff has come back to me in the last like couple of years. So it's like those are more recent experiences, I feel like.
My dad got me with the Old Yeller twist at a pretty young age.
Oh, I was exposed to that too. and it's
Mostly-
that's like child abuse.
mostly
in
I
my
use-
mind.
I know.
So brutal.
Mostly I used to feel guilt, like looking around and being like, am I supposed to be sad? Like I don't feel anything? Go to therapy, kids. It helps.
It does.
Did you watch that found footage documentary? There's a found footage documentary on Shudder. I've not yet.
I did.
I'm gonna
It's
be real.
okay.
Oh, it's a documentary about. I saw that.
Can I ask a question,
I-
Caitlin? Is this a real documentary, or is this one of these 6-hour things they don't edit and they just slap clips together? Which is okay. I'm just asking, like for
No,
fun.
it's like an hour and a half, so it's like
Okay, so
an
it's
edited.
legit,
It's.
okay.
I think it's fine. I don't know. I don't know if that's sacrilegious to say but I mean, I love found footage. I really do, and I just thought it was fine. the
Does it
documentary.
make like a cogent argument about found footage, or
It's more of like like walking through the history of it, like what started it off, what was the first.
Do
found
they
footage
mention?
movie.
Do they mention Cannibal Holocaust?
They do, yeah.
Very nice.
And they
Um,
talk about
then
Blair Witch a fair
it's
amount.
probably okay then.
I'll give Eric that one because once he got me to watch Cannibal Holocaust, I was talking about being afraid of it. And then I was like, I saw the mastery of how it actually did
It's
kick
so-
off Blair
dude.
Witch and stuff. It's like, damn.
Cannibal Holocaust is so good. I saw somebody recently arguing that Cannibal Holocaust is not a found footage movie, and I'm like, bro, they literally find their footage and then we watch it.
Yes.
You fucking idiot!
They found it, bro.
Get off of Twitter, douche. Jesus
I love when Eric is
Christ.
angry.
I've had a bad day. People are
Look, all
pissing-
you have to do is say something not nice about Cannibal Holocaust.
No, not nice, just wrong.
No, just
He's
wrong.
Yeah.
You cannot like it, but don't say some dumb shit like it's not a found footage movie. When there's literally like, I found the footage. Like, fuck, idiot. All right. Which do you prefer? Audiobooks, physical books, Kindle books, or none of the above?
I'm all in on Kindle.
Physical book.
I keep a
I'm a
small
physical book.
selection of physical books that I just have some kind of attachment to, like small, like less than 20 probably, and then Kindle if I'm actually reading.
You guys all have Kindles? I don't.
No,
I
I love my
use it.
Kindle.
I actually do.
I had one. I don't know. It's around here.
I've read
Send it to me, John.
I've read entire huge books just on my iPhone, and this was back when they were like small, like tiny ass iPhones too.
Oh, I couldn't do that. I tried that
It's
back
great.
in the day.
I
used to do that on the. I would read on the train.
read a book
on my
called
phone.
The Great War about World War One. That's like 1,000 pages entirely on my iPhone while in the bathroom.
Extremely dad energy from start to finish there. Eric.
Thank you very much.
Get your. You might have to get your bowels checked out,
Uh,
brother.
I was gonna say, my good news is my fiber intake is better now. So
Yeah, I'm a full-blown convert over to Kindle. I love it. I don't know that I see myself going back except for special stuff like coffee table books and stuff like that.
yeah, Kindle's great.
Audiobooks I've never been able to get into.
I
though.
do. I have trouble with the idea of buying a device that only does one thing like a Kindle. But whenever I see like a modern Kindle, they look so cool. The way the like pages look.
Well, it's so much better to read on too. Like they've
Yeah.
like optimized it for the reading.
And you get the e-ink screen. Honestly, it's
That's what I
it's a
mean.
big difference between reading on your iPad or your iPhone or something. It does make an actually good difference.
This was the question that got a too real of an answer. What's something that will always make you sad when you think about it?
Good
Come
God,
on.
people.
My answer was our current downfall in democracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, child murder is pretty high on the list.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so many things, really.
I don't need to. I'm not.
Yeah,
gonna
I don't wanna
answer.
get
I'm not,
into it.
I'm not like thinking about the things. That,
Speaking of Cannibal Holocaust, any movie that you loved but wouldn't recommend to someone? That's probably one of them. Although I recommend that to horror fans. Martyrs is one I wouldn't recommend to anybody that I loved. So that's my go-to.
Oh, Eric, what's the one? Bad Ben.
Bad Ben.
Yeah.
I know some real freaky weirdos that I would recommend Bad Ben to. Like, I
I
know,
recommended it to you.
oh my god, get out of here, you dang ghost!
Yeah.
Come on, get out of here.
There's a lot of movies that I love.
John,
that
you gotta
I
watch
would
back.
only-
I think it's a Philly accent, isn't it? Didn't we decide that, Caitlin, or was it New Jersey or something like that?
It's an amalgamation he made
Or
up for the role, I
Maryland or
think, but
something?
it's distinct, singular.
John,
You guys with
what
your
you got?
bad pen.
What you got, John?
Yeah.
Oh no, I was just saying there's a lot of movies that I wouldn't.
I
recommend
remember,
to,
like,
regular people,
famously,
but-
we had this conversation on the Human Centipede episode because we all kind of enjoyed the first one to some degree, but like we had that experience of normies. It became such a cultural thing that people in our lives, like at work, would be like, "Hey, you're weird. You heard of this butt movie? What's going on with this thing?"
Yeah, someone at work was like, "Oh, this thing is like really creepy." Okay, Caitlin, you'd like it. And I was like, "Well, not wrong."
But that is a great example. Like, if someone asked me, like, should I watch this? Like, I don't. I mean, I'd have to know a lot about them before I said yes. You know.
Yeah.
But
Well, that was the last real question. There was a comment after that, but it wasn't. That's not a question, John. I still appreciate
cool.
the comment.
I appreciate your editorializing.
I'm not going to read it on the
He's
show.
judicious tonight.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try to get a show in next week, probably Monday night on the record for that. It'll come out the normal time, and then we're definitely taking a week off after that. I'm on vacation, John.
Ooh.
So I don't know. I don't think we have a movie queued up this week. Casey does not get to pick this week after that. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I was way too burned out to pick a movie this week, so I appreciate people.
I really want to do Lizzie, but I'll wait for John.
So yeah, anybody, I guess that's it for the show. I don't know.
Go see Men if you can. It's
Way
a
to
hot
bring
one.
it in hard.
Oh yeah, that movie Men came out. I'm sure we'll do that on video.
We're getting to men. We're
not
getting
Yeah.
it.
We
So
got
many
to.
good previews. The Menu. Don't worry, darling. No.
I was just reading about this movie, Bodies, which is
I've
another
seen that.
I've seen
A24.
some stuff on that. That looks fun.
It looks cool. Like I didn't see a preview, but I was reading about it. It sounds good, but it's not till like August, I think.
It's
cool.
Are we gonna do that? The other A24 movie that's coming out. I can't think of his name now. It's like Sheldon this Shell or something like that.
No, it's not horror.
Marcel, no, it's
Marcel,
definitely not.
yes.
Marcel the
It's A24
Shell.
though.
Yeah, it is.
I was so
A24.
pissed when I saw that preview. I was like, I already saw Everything Everywhere All at Once or whatever it's called. I was like, I've got my quota of tenderness for the year. I don't need this shell.
It's Jenny Slate.
Yep.
I don't care. I like
Yeah,
Jenny
that's
Slate. I just don't think it's a movie I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, that's gonna do it for The Sadness, at least in movie form. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.